This week we are talking about the letter L, and L stands for life lessons. Now, one of the great things about getting older is that with age comes some wisdom, hopefully, right? We have had some life experiences, we have learned some lessons, and we're usually anxious to share those lessons to try and help our younger family members avoid some of the pitfalls that we've walked through ourselves, right? So, let's talk about how we do this, because it's tricky. When you are sharing life lessons, or when you feel that urge to share life lessons, I want to give you a caution here. First of all, don't be the nag, okay? Nagging our children, nagging our grandchildren is not teaching a life lesson. It's making them want to stay away from us. If we're really honest, that's all it does. The other thing is avoid being hypercritical. Think back to when you were young. How did it make you feel when somebody was really critical of what you were doing? It's hard. It affects our self-esteem. It makes us uncertain, insecure, and that criticism can really kill the spirit of a child if we're not careful. So first of all, avoid those two things. Don't nag. Don't be super critical. Share wisely. Feel your way into discussions. When you know there's an issue that needs to be discussed, or you see your young grandchild going through something, feel your way in and see if they're ready to hear from you. You can tell when somebody quits listening, when they tune out from the conversation. If they've tuned out, it may not be the right time to talk and to really help them with some wisdom. Ask if they're ready, if they want some help, if they're struggling with something that you could help them with. Just ask them if they need something from you. They may or may not respond. If they do, then that's a great opportunity, and they're ready and willing and will hear what you have to say as long as you're kind in the way you say it. Here's another tip. Tell stories. As human beings, we are wired for story. We love the beginning, the middle, and the end. We like to see that story structure where something happens, there's a resolution, and maybe the happily ever after. Who knows whether that's what they're desiring, but in my case, I like the happily ever after. So tell stories. Relate back to your own childhood or your youth. Relate to them some of the mistakes you've made. Don't be afraid to be self-deprecating. Use some humor. Grandkids have a great time hearing stories about some of the mistakes you've made. As long as you're careful in how you share it with love, and you teach the lesson. Okay, don't overshare, but it makes you real to them when they hear about who you were as a young person and how you navigated some of the difficulties of life. What if they won't receive what you have to say? This is hard because anybody who wants to share a life lesson is definitely trying to do that to help somebody avoid problems. But unfortunately, human beings, and if we're honest, we've all done this ourselves, where we've had to learn a lesson the hard way. Sometimes if a person won't receive wisdom, we have to just back up a little bit and let them learn that life lesson, maybe the hard way. It's called the School of Hard Knocks, right? Been there, done that. In that time process, don't give up on them. Don't give up on your core values. Continue to love and speak gently and speak hope and encouragement into that young person, even as they're struggling. Oftentimes they'll come back and say, I really did hear what you had to say. I was listening. They recognize themselves sometimes when they're being stubborn, but maybe they just have to learn the lesson that way instead of avoiding the pitfall. So never give up. Stand your ground. Do it kindly. Don't be a nag, and don't be super critical. Allow young people to blossom and to come into maturity themselves. And some of that maturity comes from the life lessons they learn themselves, not just the ones we share with them. So take care, grandparents. Be strong and be courageous. Interact with your grandchildren, and don't be afraid to share the wisdom that you've gained with your years.